Hey guys, it's Ihasnotomato here, and welcome to me drawing your OCs. I've been seeing a lot on Twitter recently that a lot of people have been talking about, discussing, sharing, drawing their OCs recently, and you know what? I kind of wanted to get in on that and kind of give you guys something back for all the years of support that I've been getting from you guys, whether it be on this channel or my other channel or Twitter or on my artwork, wherever it may be. I wanted to do something for you guys and get in on this OC drawing thing. So the other day, I asked you guys on Twitter to effectively just send me your OCs and I would draw them. There's a couple things I want to mention off the bat. They're only headshots and they're all a little bit rough, but I gotta say, these were a lot of fun to do. Experimenting with other people's art styles and characters and just trying to look at them in a different way and interpret them in my own way was really interesting and a lot of fun, and I would be interested in doing more of this in future. So, I hate to say this, I swear I'm not this kind of person, but if you guys enjoyed this video, or if you want to see your own OC drawn in future, I would highly appreciate any support you show for this video to effectively tell me that you like this and you want more of this, because this could easily become a series if I feel like, you know, people want it to be, really. It was a really good exercise in drawing for me, and hopefully the people involved in this episode, I guess, really appreciate what I've drawn. Well, anyway, with that all out of the way, let's jump right into the first one. So first up, we have a character from Bon Oakley, a fellow Pyromane YouTuber. His character here, I believe, is called Zoe. She's sort of like a snake girl woman, I believe. I've seen this character pop up quite a lot on my Twitter feed. I believe Bon commissions a lot of people to draw her, so as a result it was kind of a little difficult to try and interpret her in my own way that perhaps hasn't been done before. But honestly, it might look a little rough at first, but I really like what I ended up doing with this one. As you can see, I was kind of ended up fiddling with the eyes a lot, and at first I was actually pretty unsure with it. I was like, I don't know, I kind of wanted to erase the whole thing and start all over, but sometimes with art, you just kind of gotta keep working at it, adjusting things, moving things around, and eventually you might see something pop up that might work pretty well. But another interesting challenge with this character is that this character, again, who I believe is called Zoe, I'm fairly sure she is. I get confused sometimes because I also have a character called Zoe, but she is the complete opposite to this character, because this character is quite, oh dear, how shall we say, for this family-friendly YouTube channel, a bit provocative from what I have observed. But you know, it's still a great character design, and I like quite a lot. I wonder if Bon Oakley did design her himself. I think he's done a little bit of drawing. I'm not entirely sure, admittedly, but I do like the character's design. There's a lot of vivid greens and stuff, which I do end up using my own kind of greens and palettes. For most of these drawings, I kind of do my own palettes for them, just because, I don't know, give it all a bit of a unique twist and unique flavor to try and kind of put my identity onto it. But yeah, I honestly really quite like this character. I've never drawn this one before. I have drawn another character of Bon Oakley, one of his pyros that he's created, and to create a character of this kind of, again, provocativeness is not really something that I'm very used to, or something that I would consider myself very good at, considering none of my characters are really like that necessarily. But I like to think that I've got something going here, something that, I don't know, it's perhaps if you can look at it, it's something that you can both look at it on this family-friendly YouTube channel and go, oh, that's a nice drawing, while someone with perhaps a slightly different mind might be able to look at it and go, oh yeah, I see what you were going for here. Perhaps whatever is happening below the collar is is up to your interpretation. That being said, I actually did consider drawing a little bit below for a bit, but I thought, no, I'll keep it all all above the neck for these characters, which does make some of them look a little strange, but you know, it all worked out in the end. But anyway, this was actually the first picture that I ended up drawing, and I gotta say, I was really happy with how it went, and I was quite looking forward to the others after this as well. So here we have an OC from Twitter user Coffee, Their character is interesting because they were saying to me that they were still kind of figuring out the character. They didn't have any colors figured out, and it was still in the early development stages. So as a result, I had to kind of look at this character from my own perspective and sort of infer some things and perhaps draw it in a way that I see the character. So one of the first things I saw right away was that it had a big grin, so a big smile, so I decided to kind of interpret that and draw that in my own way, the way that I like drawing smiles. I think it's kind of a bit reminiscent of those robots or whatever from Nier. I'm sorry, I've never played the Nier games before, but I don't know, like there's something quite charming about the simplistic design. At first I thought, maybe I'll add some extra bits and bobs to it, but to be honest, it's kind of fine the way it is. I mean, obviously it's fine the way it is, but I mean, like, in my art style, I thought that maybe I should add some extra bits and bobs, but I don't know. I really like the simplicity of the character. I also decided though, but just so it's not too simple, because the head itself is it's all right, but like I added his little hand there as well, just kind of giving like a salute signal. I don't know, just because his hands are detached, sort of Rayman-esque, floating around him. Actually, I think he's supposed to be like a wizard character, and that's kind of funny. I have a wizard character who also has floating hands. You've probably never seen him before, but anyway. So as a result, I guess I kind of channeled my inner, my inner self who has already drawn a character sort of similar to this, and sort of went through that design and just drew what I would draw, I suppose. That's extremely redundant. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, getting on to colors now. I don't know why, but I got a kind of blue vibe from it. So typically the way that I color white or do shading for white is that I use the color blue to do the shading, just to give that, so it's not just gray and boring and dull. I used to do that, but these days I try and incorporate as much color as I can into my shading and highlights and all that. And I was kind of really digging how the blue was going. At first I was going to kind of give him light blue eyes. It was like, nah, I like light blue skin. And I don't know, now the way that I look at this picture now is like I kind of see him as like a sky wizard of sorts. Like like that big scarf kind of makes you think that he's like a pilot for some reason. I know that's probably not the intention. He had a big staff in the picture, so I presume he's a wizard. I believe the character didn't even have a name, but I don't know. The way I see it is, this is my interpretation of it. I saw your character, I've drawn it this way, and perhaps maybe this can give you some guidance. I don't know. This is how I see the character, so maybe it might allow you to see your character in a different light. You know what I mean? Like, I really like getting feedback on my comic, which I don't get very much, but I like to get feedback on my comics just to see where people's heads are at, see how people are interpreting the characters and the events, and then perhaps adjust how my writing and events and stuff go slightly further down the line, and how the characterization is, just so I can kind of adjust the way people see the character the way that I want them to, right? So for instance, the way that I've drawn your character here, you might look at it and go, oh, I don't like that. I don't like how he's interpreted this at all. And so then that might make you want to consider changing up the way he looks, or the way he acts, or anything about him. And, change, like, just to get that impression that, like, okay, this is how someone sees my character. I don't like the way they see my character. Let's change it up and see if I can get them to see it the way that I see it. Anyway, that's kind of going off track there. But anyway, this was another fun one. One of those kind of simplistic designs that I really jived with. Alright, so next up is Foosh, or Fouché, or Fushi. I'm sorry, I do not know how to say it out loud. It's one of those things where you read it all the time and you just... Anyway... this is their character Ricochet, I believe she is called. And she's this interesting kind of cartoon, super cartoony zombie Frankenstein's monster type character, and I gotta say, I love them. I constantly see Foosh, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep saying Foosh, draw this character like nearly every day, it seems. Always in these extreme cartoon scenarios, always bouncing off the walls and drinking paint and doing all this crazy stuff, and I really do like it a lot. It's like, it kind of reminds me a bit of like a Saturday morning comic strip in a way, except way more lively and vivid. And well, that's kind of what I tried to convey here. See, with all of these pictures, I've been trying to kind of look at the core of the character, right, and understand what exactly makes them tick? What exactly makes them appealing, and what is the impression that you get from them right away? And from Ricochet, the first thing I think is just that absolute cartoon buffoonery, you know, in a nice way, obviously. Like this is a character that's always like, we're talking the score, like what's a really crazy character? I don't know. I want to say like Mickey Mouse, but Mickey Mouse is way too restrained for something like this. This is like more like Gladiator with a chance of meatballs. I don't know. I'm bad at coming up with these things in the spot, but anyway. So I wanted to kind of capture that feeling of this is a cartoon character. This is a character whose eyes are going to pop out of their head when they see something. They go, "Awooga, awooga," you know, something crazy. Their jaw's going to drop to the ground or literally fall off. I actually did consider doing that at one point, actually, drawing this character with their whole jaw just coming completely off. But I wasn't 100% sure if that would remain completely true to the character. But then again, I have seen the character's legs and stuff before torn off, whatever. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I tried to capture that real cartooniness to the character. This idea that the character does, you know, is all bouncy and stretchy and it can do all that kind of stuff. So I tried to kind of interpret that in my own current style. It's kind of interesting because I used to draw a lot more cartoony when I was a kid, but I've kind of pulled back and restrained myself a little bit and then kind of gone back out again to a bit more cartoony. So I'm weirdly in the middle. So I tried to, I guess, like, yeah, get this mix between my kind of restrained pulled backness and this over-the-top cartoony craziness. So I tried to give them kind of an exaggerated expression. Perhaps, I don't know, like a wrecking ball is coming right at their face or something like that. Their face is, you know, their neck is stretched out, their teeth are gritted for impact, their eyes basically, you know, popping way above their head. I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say, though. That's the kind of thing that I was trying to capture with this. And while I don't know if I fully got it, I gotta say, still a lot of fun trying to kind of figure that out and just get that good mix between. It's still my style, you know. I could have easily just copied their style, Foosh's style, and just called it a day. But that's not the point of this. I wanted to reinterpret these characters in my own style while still staying true to the core of them. Now this character was created by Twitter user IEL, I believe, and they said to me that they couldn't, that this character is still pretty early on in development, that they didn't even have a name for them, and that they didn't have a color scheme figured out. And so as a result, you know, there's a lot that I had to kind of interpret, but I gotta say, the character design already feels like top notch. Like, this is a character that definitely feels figured out. Just drawing them, I felt like I had a very clear vision right from the start. Because one of the things that attracted me to this character so much was probably just the angles, right? Like, I realized that as I was drawing it, the more I leant into doing these like really harsh angles, the better it kind of came out, you know? So like at first I was kind of like, oh, maybe make some of the lines a little bit curved or a little bit warped. Nah, just all angles seem to work spectacularly. This character is very angular, and I think that leaning into that has really helped kind of properly establish it. I gotta say, there's something so beautiful about this character's design. This weird simplicity in it, and yet there's also a bit of complexity. I don't know, it's kind of hard to define, but what I'm trying to say is basically I really like this design because I'm a big fan of robots, and it seems like, again, something like kind of like a cartoon character perhaps that I'd see in a really stylized, interesting cartoon. Admittedly, I couldn't fully grasp the real idea behind it because, like I said, the character was still pretty early in development. They said that IEL said that they still hadn't really figured out even like the name yet. So like obviously there's a lot to interpret here, but I don't know. This is still a character that kind of eludes a lot of personality despite being a robot. You know, like having this constant big grin on their face, like that's what I imagine. It's a bit like maybe like a Futurama character, how that, you know, their mouth never changes, perhaps flashes with colors and stuff like that. I kind of look at them as like a sort of strict, like a ruler or a you know, sort of a matriarchal character that's like the head of the company or a corporation, like like some robot corporation, or perhaps just the head of the household or something like that. But they have this kind of presence of constantly with a big smile and like pretending to be extremely, you know, they have this very obvious sort of facade of like, I've got a big grin on my face, but I am not a nice character. You know what I mean? I mean, I hate to sort of really boil it down to the core of the idea, but you know, that's the vibe that I get from this character, at least. I wonder actually if IEL has like a whole cast of characters and perhaps is developing like a story or something, because this is the kind of character that I could very easily see in a whole cartoon series, honestly, even if it is just like a short or something like that. That's what I get from this, because you know, when people create OCs for all kinds of differences, for all different reasons. Not everyone is creating cartoons or comics or whatever. Some people just create characters because they enjoy creating characters, but this character, I look at them and I go, this looks designed for a show for me. That's the way that I see it, at least. Also, you can probably tell I ended up going with color scheme number 2. Don't know why, just kind of felt like it. At first I was going to do color scheme number 1 and decided on color scheme number 2. I just like the orange hair. I don't know, feels more like what you would see if it was like a, you know, a constructed, you know, they're trying to kind of give off a friendly human vibe. Obviously, it's very angular and robotic, but you know what I mean. Anyway, that's IEL's character. All right, next up we have Mabini's character, Razor, from his comic. Well, I don't know if it's a comic now. It's more of a novel, Damned Legacy. This is an old character of his, which, if memory serves correctly, I might have even helped design way back in high school. I could be wrong on that. I don't want to take credit for something that isn't mine. For those of you who don't know, Mabini is a very, very, very good friend of mine. Very, very old friend of mine. And I've helped him with his comics and characters and stuff in the past. And yeah, I gotta say, it's interesting kind of coming back to this character, because I've definitely drawn Razor before, but not in a long, long time. My style and art has developed a long way. So I gotta say, it was almost like drawing a completely new character. But that being said, you might notice that the footage is a lot different to how it was before, and that's because I accidentally didn't record this one. The way I was recording each one of these drawings is that I was doing them one at a time, and I just knew it that one of them I would forget, and I apologize. It was Mabini, and I do apologize for that. However, as you can see, some stuff is happening on screen. Basically what I did was, after I finished it and was about to press the stop button on my recording, I just went, oops, forgot to record, pressed the back arrow several times, and then just pressed the forward arrow, like the undo and the redo tool, until it would go no further. So you can see stuff happening, the very last things that I did, and also showed some of the layers and stuff at the beginning of this. But yeah, I do apologize for that. It's one of those things where it's like, I could draw it again, but it's like one of those things, I was really proud of this, and I was like, I don't know if I can recapture it exactly the same way. It's one of those things where it's like, this character, I gotta admit, if I am correct in me, having helped design it at least, they got crazy hair, you know. Obviously, it's very, the whole point of the hair is it's supposed to be like sort of like a razor blade, and like a very sharp, circular razor blade kind of thing. And the thing is with that is that, like, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty over the top. So like, how do I kind of ground it and make it look not realistic? Obviously, I don't have a realistic art style, but how do I make it kind of look not ridiculous? And so, I don't know. Basically, it was by toning down the hair a little bit, giving Razor a serious expression of his own, and kind of that mix and match. You kind of get this vibe that, like, whatever world that he comes from, perhaps this hairstyle, this ridiculous hairstyle, is more at place in the world of Damned Legacy that it is from. And I think I did a pretty good job of it. I'm honestly really happy with this. I gotta say, a lot of these characters, I kind of looked at them and I was like, oh man, that character there, I don't know how I'm going to interpret that character. That's way too, like, out there, out of my own art style, out of my comfort zone. And nearly every single one, if not every single one, I've been pleasantly surprised with myself. And this is no exception. I was like, oh man, Razor, like, oh, I haven't drawn that character in forever. I don't know about this. Like, they're so, it's such a wild looking character. I don't know, but I'm really, really happy with this. This is why I was very reluctant to want to draw it again. So yeah, again, I apologize that the speed drawing part of this section is not super great, but yeah, well, it's bound to happen, I guess. But I do apologize. If I do more of this series in future, I will try not to do that. So next up we have Maxwell Wolf's character PRTO, the Protogen, I suppose. This is a character of whom I've actually never seen before. Maxwell Wolf has another character that they use for their Twitter icon, so I thought that maybe I'd be drawing that, but no, this is one that completely came left field, and so this is not something that I'm used to drawing, admittedly. These kind of wolf creatures and things like that. There's another character who, to be honest, I don't exactly know how I'm going to be structuring this video yet. I don't know if they're going to come first or after this, but another kind of cat creature thing where it's like I didn't really know how to approach it first. I'm quite glad with what I ended up with, though, I think, because like when you have like a wolf character or like a character with a long face, you don't really want to draw them front on, because that getting the perspective right or the foreshadowing right on that, it can be a little wonky, especially for a character whose whole face is like a screen like this, which, by the way, I love these screen faces. Of course, as you can probably tell with my character, who's just a TV head. Someone actually messaged me the other day talking about these characters with the screen faces, and I gotta say, I super dig it. Regardless, I got very distracted there. What was I saying? Well, yeah, anyway, I was saying, like, the thing is that the references that I was sent has side shots of the character's face. And it's like, oh, how do I kind of angle that in a way that's like unique and different? Because I gotta say, the character, I don't know, it's like, it looks kind of complicated, but actually it's exceedingly simple. The character design, it was weirdly easy to draw. I don't know why, just because it's like, I guess because it's a simple like round shape, and I even tried to embellish it a little bit. I put like a couple of little hairs sticking up on the top of the head and a little more down by the neck. I kind of like puffed out the neck collar part to kind of poof it out a bit, give him that ear hair as well. But yeah, this character kind of came as a surprise to me, because I was really expecting sort of like this is gonna be challenging. I don't know how I'm gonna angle it. Don't know how I'm gonna draw it. Like it looks way more complicated than it is, and sure enough, I just kind of did it. I don't know, just by simply angling the head in a different direction. I feel like I've kind of been able to draw it in my own way. I've kind of given him that screen shine as well that I do for my own TV head character. I wonder, is that is the point of this character, right? Like it's sort of like a screen, and it changes depending on their mood and stuff. They actually they sent Maxwell sent a whole reference sheet for me, which is very, very useful, very helpful, of all these different expressions and stuff like that. Though I did ultimately try to go for my own kind of expression. This character came across as like a happy little chappy, and so I gave him a happy little chappy smile. But yeah, this one was a surprise. Surprisingly easy, surprisingly simple, and still fun regardless. Love it. So next up we have Purple Booty's character, who I can only presume is also called Purple Booty. Now Purple Booty's character is very simplistic, and I was kind of looking at it and I was going, it's a smiley face. It's a smiley face, but with like a little bit of edge to it, I suppose. Not to, mean it in a bad way or anything. I think it's a cool looking character, but it's like, how do I kind of interpret this into something else? And I gotta admit, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. This was a lot of fun. So first off, one of the things is I really leant hard into like the goopiness of it. Like I went real like goop monster, but also decided to give it like a bit of a horror bend, a bit of a creepy bend. The character actually kind of reminds me a lot of like an old character of mine called Gub, of whom was actually inspired by another character called Delirium from the Binding of Isaac. And I think I accidentally made him look a little bit more like Delirium than I intended to, but well, it's it is what it is, I suppose. Inspiration comes from anywhere, and sometimes you don't always know where that comes from, but I don't know. I'm quite proud of this one, just because I feel like I was able to take that character who's fairly simple, I'll say, and be able to have so much breathing room with it, and really kind of try and interpret it in my own way, and I really dig it. It makes me wish that it kind of make me want to go back to an old character of mine, that old character I mentioned called Gub, and almost redesign them to look like this. Though, of course, I should mention, if anyone wants to use these pictures, obviously the people who I've drawn them for, they want to use these pictures as your icons or whatever, you can. Of course, you're not obligated to, but you can if you like. But yeah, one of the things that I'm really quite proud of in this one is especially the goop around the mouth. It's one of those things where I kind of just draw it and just think, this kind of looks crap. This doesn't look very good. I don't know what I'm doing with this. This is whatever. Because you don't really get the full picture of it until you fill in all of the color and stuff like that. But I gotta say, when it was fully colored in and just looking at the mouth and the eyes and the drippiness, I'm super happy with it. I was kind of thinking the whole time, oh, maybe I should draw more. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe it's like a bit too repetitive. Nah, I'm like, I was impressed with myself. This is one of those few examples where well, man, actually now I think about a lot of them, a lot of the pictures that I've drawn on this, it's like at first I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should like reinterpret this or do it a different way. But the way it ended up, I'm like proud of myself. I also kind of made it so it looked like he also had like a black liquid on the inside as well as a purple one. Also, you're wondering where the purple color comes from. Other than the person's name being Purple Booty, they do have a colored version of their OC as their profile picture. At least I believe that's what it is, and so I kind of just inferred from that. The yellow eyes are my idea, though, I believe, because it's just it's very striking, and yellow is quite the contrasting color to purple, and as a result you kind of look at it and you kind of get a bit of a horror vibe. Maybe that's not what the vibe that you were going for with this character as well. I should mention, but it came across as very like horror-y and spooky, and as I said in another one of these, that's the vibe that I get, and if that's not the vibe that you want, well, then then this is a good way of gauging it. This is feedback in a way. I don't know. It may or may not be what you're looking for. I'm trying to put this in a simple way, which is that, yeah, this is how I personally interpreted the character, and do with that information as you will. When you spend as much time drawing these as I did, you get to spend a lot of time with the character, and I don't know, get these impressions and ideas and opinions. Alright, so here we have Risemonger's character. I'm unsure if this character has a name. I'm fairly sure they do, I just don't know what it is. This is a Khajiit, of whom I believe is from the Elder Scrolls, though I could be wrong. I'll admit I don't really play the Elder Scrolls games. I'm sorry, yes, I know. It's just not my thing. Alright, or I believe that maybe Rise also uses this character in D&D. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, this character was probably the most intimidating out of all of them to go into, because other than the fact that the character is highly detailed, and I not that I can't do detail, but it's not really where my strong suits are. I like I draw a lot of more minimalist design characters, but also the fact that I was just like, it's a cat person, right? Like, how do I draw that? So I kind of have like a formula I draw for human beings. Perhaps I shouldn't have a formula, but when you make a comic series, it's helpful. But drawing a cat person, I can't just use my standard format. So I think I think a little bit more, and I found the best way to do it was to really just to angle the cheeks down and make the chin a bit less pronounced. And I gotta say, I by the time I started doing that and I was starting shaping it together and getting the ears in place and stuff, I was really starting to dig this character, or rather my interpretation of this character, this drawing, because I was like super unsure at first. I'm like, I don't even know how to approach this thing. I'm like, it's beyond me, but looking at it now, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm real proud of this one. One of the things as well, approaching the eyes for a little bit, I kind of like considered drawing the eyes like they're drawn in Rise's picture, but I was kind of like, nah, I'm just gonna go with my own art style, and maybe like the eyes look like way too human or whatever like that, but I don't know, I think it makes the character look cute, which is kind of funny because Risemonger and I have a bit of a history drawing each other's characters, where I like to draw my characters cute and fun, and she likes to draw her characters really like evil looking and stuff like that. So we actually did an art exchange once where she drew my Pyro really evil looking. I actually have it on my wall over here, and I draw her Pyro really happy looking and cheery. And so I've kind of done that yet again with her Khajiit character, where I've taken this, what I presume is like a badass warrior hunter type character. I don't know the full details, obviously, and interpreted them in my own like kind of cutesy, loving way, you know. Still got like the scars across the face, and you know, I didn't really draw the rest of the armor because you know, in the reference sheet the hair was covering it, so I just kind of left it at a sort of simple grey kind of tone. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this character turned out. Give it a completely new twist. I'm really curious to see what Rise thinks of this interpretation of a character. Like I said, she likes having her characters look badass and strong and not evil, but you know, menacing. And I've yet again taken a character of hers and made it look cutesy. So there you go. Alright, so that does it. That is all the OCs that I got. I did admittedly receive one more OC from a person who sent a picture of a character who I have reason to believe is not their character. I do apologize if it was yours and you feel left out, but I'm fairly sure that character is someone else's thing. So that's something that I didn't really want to tackle. I didn't want to get in trouble or anything like that. I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm fairly sure it was that. But anyway, if you liked this video, and I really, I hope you guys understand this, but I really don't often ask this or say this, but if you like this video, I would really appreciate like a share or a like or a comment or whatever. And that's because this series, you know, I would like it to be a series, but I want to make sure that it's, you know, worthwhile, that I have the people behind it, right? So as you can probably guess, this series kind of hinges on you guys, you know, sending in your OCs and watching the videos and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to make more of these episodes if I feel like I'm not going to be able to, well, get that really. Like, I was able to get 8 people, you know, roughly, well, 8-ish people to send in their OCs for this one, but you know, I wasn't entirely sure if there were other people who wanted more. So the idea is if you like this video and you're like, oh, I want Ihasnotomato to draw my character, then yeah, share this video around, show some support, and if I see the support, but like that's the point, right? I want to see if people want more of this, right? That's why I want it to be like shared and passed around and stuff like that. Not because I wanted to, you know, get 1 million subscribers or reach the top of the trending tab or anything like that. And more just like, I just want to see the support. I want if people want more of this. Maybe you don't want more of this. Maybe you found this was boring and my drawings are crap. In which case I will ask, why are you watching a channel called Ihasnotomato Draws? But I'm legitimately interested in it. If you want me to draw your characters, follow me on Twitter, because that's where I announced it, and if I announce another episode, that's where you'll, you know, respond to my post with that. If you want more of this series, like it, share it, comment it, you know, all that stuff. You know, I feel so dirty. I don't like it when YouTubers beg for this kind of stuff, because it's like, hey, if I want to subscribe, I'll subscribe. You don't have to tell me to, you know. But being self-aware doesn't stop me from actually doing it, obviously. But you get the point, you get the picture. I am rambling, as I tend to always do. Anyway, this video, at the end of the day, even if it is a one-off, was a lot of fun. And it was a great experiment for both myself and for, hopefully for you guys as well, to see your characters in my art style, and also for me to experiment and kind of broaden my horizons a little bit and draw other people's characters and, you know, try and learn new things. And it was just a lot of fun. Anyway, I've been Ihasnotomato. There will be more videos coming out in future on this channel, regardless of if it's more OC drawings. I have a lot of things planned. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.